Okay, and I am also recording, James.
I'm in. I like the format. Now, look, before we get started, or maybe this will be the start, I've got to say, this is a bit awkward. It is. You know why?
Why? Tell me why.
Well, so you've got a promotion from just, fun, laid-back, easygoing guest to co-host. And I've gone from being host to co-host of a podcast with one of the names in the title spelt wrong.
Yeah, that's natural, mate. You were the one though that said that that's the American spelling. We agreed on this. North American audience, no?
We did. But who came up with the idea of the name Curb and Canyon?
Look, I think in all things, James, you and I have got to be solid. We've got to be like a team on these things and always, take joint accountability for stuff. So I felt that was something we did together. Listen, do you know what? If you would have been more committed to the podcast from the start, I wouldn't have had to come up with it on my own.
I think you need to curb that tone, young man, if you know what I mean. The right spelling of curb.
Shall we roll that intro, James?
Let's do it.
Welcome to Curb and Canyon.
So we're on. Now, I don't want to be I don't want to be that guy, but now that I've got a co-host, I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to take it easy. I might even put my feet up. So why don't you get us started, Andy?
You absolutely should, James. I think here on in you should be phoning it in. I think that's the way to do it. Are we going to do a welcome to Curb and Canyon on like that whole business? We going with that, or we just gonna?
Let's do it. I mean, this is our first episode. I mean, it's not our first podcast because obviously we've been doing it on the Auto Amateur Podcast for a while now. But this is big. I think this is big. This is.
I think it is. I think it brings a certain level of professionalism that perhaps has been lacking. Sorry, that was so unfair.
I walked into that one.
Yeah. Well, hey, let's kick this off. Welcome to Curb and Canyon. I'm Andy.
And I'm James from Auto Amateur. Ha!
There you
I
go.
had to get that in there.
Oh, I like it.
No, I mean, so this is really exciting. Andy from Last Rasp, James from Auto Amateur. We've been collaborating now on podcasts and Instagram and all that sort of good stuff now for probably it's over a year now, right?
I guess it's probably coming close to that. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's been a while, and I feel like I've known you for a lot longer than that. But we always have a good laugh when we get together, and so while the Auto Amateur Podcast will continue doing its thing, we thought that our banter, if nothing else, decided some special attention, and here we are with Curb and Canyon. Now, there are lots of other Porsche podcasts out there, right? I mean, we listen to them. Give me two or three that you listen to, just off the top of your head.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we've got our good friends at Nineworks, and Lee and Andy, who are awesome, and I love what they do. I think they've got this amazing inside track on all things Porsche. I think Lee's encyclopedic knowledge of the brand, of the history of the models is something incredible. And
right,
and then you've got someone like, say, Spike, and whilst his show isn't obviously fully dedicated to Porsche, it's reasonably Porsche centric, and I think they've got that end of the market who are looking for allocation of the next GT3. They've got those guys covered.
Yeah.
I think the thinking that we had behind this was a Porsche podcast by enthusiasts for enthusiasts, right? Like the average Porsche enthusiast.
That's right. Just like we're going to be the average Joes of the Porsche podcasting world.
Yeah. In fact, we kicked that around as a name for a little while.
That just would have been too much. That would have been too dodgeball. I would have been throwing in all of those Ben Stiller references and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, so that's right. It's a Porsche podcast for enthusiasts by enthusiasts, and we're going to try and put it out weekly. We've got an Instagram feed, which is Curb and Canyon, or at least close, right? We've got a few dots in there.
Yeah. It was either dots or underscores.
You were talking about my commitment to this podcast a second ago. Probably should learn the Instagram. But no, we're going. And what's been really exciting is just thinking about getting it started. And yeah, to be honest, having somebody else on as a partner to collaborate with, more than just a guest. So, Mr. Co-host, how are you feeling? You nervous? You good? You nervous? Any pressure?
Yeah. No, well, yeah, look, all of the above. No, not really. I'm just pumped to get into it, because there's a thing when you're a guest on somebody else's pod that you got to be respectful of that. And, when you begged me to sort of launch something with you, I just thought, okay, this is a really good opportunity to, I can open the taps, I can be a little more honest. But no, I'm not, mate. To touch on the point you made before, I do. I feel we've become great mates over a reasonably short period of time, and I've from those initial conversations, just felt like we had a good thing going. So I'm just pumped to do this and talk about everything that kind of surrounds these cars, the living with them, the driving of them, the places you go to, the trips you take, the planning that goes into that. And then, I think key amongst all of that is the friendships and the relationships. Because, ultimately that's the thing that for me, my car ownership journey has delivered way above and beyond what I would have expected. And that's, the friendships I've developed with the guys I drive with,
right,
with, people like yourself who are on the other side of the planet that I never would have come across otherwise. And so, yeah, that's I think we really want that to form a basis of the sorts of things we cover off on the show.
Yeah, no, I like that. And you're totally right. I mean, we talk about things like the Porsche driving experience, but then you also talk about things like Porsche ownership and Porsche community and culture. And you put all of those things together and it just becomes a part of your day-to-day sort of fabric of life. And it doesn't matter whether you're popping out into the garage to have a quick, cheeky, last-minute goodbye to your car before you go to bed, or you're following the Instagram.
We all do it.
I know, we all do it. And, give it a hug and kiss it and say,
just
please don't break on me. Exactly.
That's it. I read it a story. I just sit down maybe with an issue of Duck and Whale or Total 911 and just read it a little story before bed. I find it helps it settle.
Well, thank you for mentioning Total 911. I mean, let's just say that another few times. Total 911. the world's best Porsche 911 magazine. Do you know who has a column in that? Lee Sibley.
Yeah, no, I tend to skip by those columns at the end. They're usually not that good, I didn't think.
Yeah, there's that guy from Minnesota who writes just about random stuff every month. Yeah, all right, let's not plug that anymore. But seriously, go out and buy that magazine. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good mag. It's always a good read.
So we're here now. We're on this podcast, and we're at the beginning of a new year, beginning of a new season of videos for me on Auto Amateur. And if you could pull your finger out and release more than one video every 2 or 3 months, I would appreciate it on Last Rasp. But we got a fresh start, so
we do.
What are we going to talk about today?
Well, look, a couple of things. I want to get into, what we've both got planned for the year in terms of mods around our cars. I want to get into how life's been for you without the 991 and where you're at with the 996. I want to talk about.
Well, so people who follow my channel know that I just recently got I sold my 991 and I'm now focused on my 996. But I've also sort of inherited another 991 which is my friend Chris, who just recently bought a 991 Turbo, and he wants to make a bunch of mods. So I've got like 2 911 projects in parallel at the moment, and that is taking up so much of my time, and I am enjoying it so much that as much as I want to put Auto Amateur videos out there and keep going, which I will do, the focus has just been like a more of a sort of project mindset as opposed to making videos. I would plan the videos out and think, okay, well, what am I going to do next? Well, now with both of these cars, I'm planning out the mods and thinking, okay, well, how many videos could that make me, if that kind of makes sense? I'm thinking project first, video second. But, Project 996, Project 991 Turbo, I want what if I get my hands on an air-cooled? What if I get my hands on something else? I think as much as I love driving, as much as I love making content, getting to work on these cars and fix them or, freshen them up or break them in some cases, which I've done to my 996. I think I found like a new wave of enthusiasm for that part of my Porsche world. So that's what I'm hoping to explore this year.
I guess it's also, your seasons are very distinct, right? Being in Minnesota, summer is driving season, winter is kind of project and mod season. So at the moment, it probably makes a hell of a lot of sense for you to be spending that time in the garage working on those projects, really immersing yourself in them, yeah?
Yeah, no, totally right. It's funny, I thought you were going to say something along the lines of, 6 months in winter, just sitting around at home wanting to blow your brains out with boredom. You didn't go there. That's okay. And I don't think like that, but sometimes... Good. Yeah.
Okay, listeners, this just took a reasonably dark turn. We'll be right back after these messages. James, do we need to have a talk? Like, are you okay?
Dude, I tell you, the winter's it's bleak.
No,
but
I know.
I think the point is having a project like that. Yeah, it just makes all the difference.
Yeah.
Looking back now, my 997, my 991, this 996, they've the majority of the mods that I've done have been during the winter months.
Yeah. So I'm just going to circle back to something you said at the very beginning of that, which was you drew reference to the possibility of an air-cooled car coming into the fold. Is that actually in orbit as a possibility for you, or no?
I knew I shouldn't have mentioned that.
You think I'm going to let that one slide? Come on.
So, all right. Well, maybe. I mean, yeah, maybe. I really like the idea of an air-cooled, and it's all your fault. I mean, one, the videos you put out with your 964 get me interested immediately, but also, introducing me to Luft this year, just walking around seeing all of those air-cooled cars and just seeing how many of them were in immaculate condition. Yeah. And stock or not, the love, the attention, the energy that went into creating those, I mean, quite literally pieces of art sat on the road, that seems to have really caught my attention, because I've come across a couple of 1964 and 993, and I forget the other one. It might have even been a 944 that were going for a relatively reasonable price locally, and that was because they needed a ton of work. Not quite, like a barn find where it's, almost rusted through completely, but you'd pick it up for 40 or 50 grand, and you'd probably put the same amount of money in, maybe a little less, bringing it back to life. And now we've sort of done that with the 996. Even though it's not working yet, I'm already sort of thinking about, well, what's next? And I don't want to work on another 996, maybe a 997. But at this point, I feel like I need to sort of start looking back and going, back to the beyond the water-cooled and into the air-cooled. Not that I would ever buy it to be a driver for myself, because I just don't work. I just don't fit in those cars very well enough to make them work. But to work on
I was going to ask that though, because that becomes that becomes a challenge, right? Because part of the reason you turn these things into pieces of art is to then go out and destroy them on the road and get stone chips all through them, and which is what I do with mine. Can you do that? Can you just do the, what, I'm gonna develop this thing, I'm gonna build it, make it amazing, and then move it on and move on to something else?
I think I can, and I think selling the 991 was quite an eye opener to me, because when I sold my 996 originally, my first 996, and I moved to the 997, I was so excited about getting into that 997, but I still had a little bit of remorse about giving away the 996, even though it wasn't the car for me. I still felt like, was I maybe missing out on something? Yeah. I was completely ripped up when I sold that 997, more than I was expecting to be, because of the amount of work I put into it, just because of how much I liked that car. And as excited as I was for getting the 991, I really just, for months, it was tearing me apart that I didn't have that car anymore. And the guy who bought it off me, even up until as recently as 6 months ago, was sending me photos of it, him driving and, hey, just want to let you know how your car's going. And I guess it's like a guy showing you photos. Is it like
breaking up with someone and then their new boyfriend starts sending you photos of them on holidays together?
Dude, I was about to say exactly the same thing. Yeah, it was. It's like, well, that's not how I used to hold her. She didn't do that with me.
Well, I always think that because I'm mates with the guy who sold me the 964, and sometimes I do. I think, is this like now she's showing up with her new boyfriend and he's got to be friends with him? Like it's got to be awkward, dude. Why are you dressing her in that? She never wore those wheels when I was with her,
dude. Exactly. Now I don't know if you've noticed, but there aren't many episodes on my channel where I'm driving other people's cars.
Yeah.
If I have other people's cars in the video, the owner drives them or the owner brings them into my garage and we walk around them and talk about them, or I'm working on them. I think only once or twice have I actually accepted the offer, because all of these people offer to, give me their car for the day and go take it for a drive. But I often say no because it kind of feels like, hey, here's my wife. Give her a go, We got an hour before dinner. Why don't you take her around the back and just see how she works?
So it's not because I thought maybe they'd seen your footage of you driving the tail of the dragon and were like, no, we don't need to get him behind the wheel.
We're good.
Do you know what though? Actually, it'd be the opposite, wouldn't they? They'd be like, yeah, okay. Well, at least I know he's not going to thrash my car.
I tell you what, though, the one channel, I feel bad saying this because the guy seems really nice and I do enjoy his content, but I just can't watch. Is it the Smoking Tire? I can't watch that anymore. Yeah, Matt. Because every video starts with him sat proudly in another guy's car with the guy sat next to him in the chair. And like before he starts to rag it around the canyons, he's like, all right, tell me about it. What have you done to it? What can I do? Tell me about this car. And then, it's like giving the wife a ride right in front of the husband. I can't do it. I just can't do it. Anyway, so the point is, when I got rid of the 991, yes, I was a little sad, but I was surprised again in a different way, just how little it kind of affected me and how excited I was to continue the project on the 996. And even with the 996, I know that I'm not going to keep it forever. I'm going to sell it on and move on to another project car. So yeah, I think I'm good. I think the whole process of, a lot of people say searching for the car is almost as exciting as owning the car.
Yeah.
Because the world is your oyster and you got to think about all the options you want and what's available. And, so that part of the job or the project, finding the car and then getting the car and then learning about it and then trying to figure out, what you can do to bring it back to life with the budget you have.
Yeah.
And then ultimately have the knowledge that you've sent it on its way and someone's going to enjoy it for the next 10 years. That end to end sounds really satisfying for me. And if I get to drive it a couple of times, to test it out along the way before I get rid of it and move on to the next one, I think that's fine. As long as I've got my own 911 to drive day to day, which is another story, I think I can do it. I think I can deal with it. So I want to create an air cooled that's good enough to go to Luft. And I'm probably kidding myself because I'm not that talented at all. I would be surprised if anybody wanted to look at it in the local Cars and Coffee. But I want to do something special to an air-cooled car.
Yeah, you know what, though? When I was at Luft, not every car there was a museum piece and not every car there was the sort of car that would dazzle at Cars and Coffee. Some of them were sort of, a lot of them actually were beat up and well used, well driven, and because I think that's part of that's part of the Luft narrative as well, right? Is actually using these cars. But I think the important thing that you touched on there was as long as you've got a 911 that you can use, because I think that's it, right? If you end up with just a project car sitting in your garage and then you're trying to think about what am I going to drive if I want to go and do a trip with with Jay or one of those types of things, you got to have the car sitting there and ready and waiting. I mean, I think I'm really excited to see where the 996 goes, because I think the decisions you've made with that car already, I think it's a beautiful, beautiful looking car. I can't wait to see that up and running and on the road again. I think it's just a stunner.
Thank you. That makes me feel very good.
It does. It does. I mean, I was gutted for you when you had the issue you did with it, but I remember watching that video and the sort of reveal of it. It's that blue color. It's such a great looking car.
I appreciate that, and I do stand in the garage staring at it fondly quite a lot. I'm excited to see where it goes as well. And it's funny you mention about road trips and so on, because all right, it's the winter. I'd maybe take my 991 out once or twice a week, just like I would in the summer, actually. It's sad that I don't get to take it out more than that, just because I'm so busy. But with the tour of the Rocky Mountains coming up that Jay and I are organizing with our friend Alberto and a few others in May, I don't want to be the guy that has to drive the support truck behind the convoy of Porsches, because I haven't got the 996 ready in time. But the transmission's already arrived. The engine's coming in February. That should be more than enough time to get it roadworthy by May. I mean, touch wood. But what I'm really excited about doing now is focusing on the interior. It's been pretty cool thinking about the options I've got to really bring the interior back to being factory fresh. I mean, the seats were beaten up, and I've taken those out, and they're with an upholsterer right now that specialises in like luxury car upholstery, so they're in good hands, I think.
And just for our listeners, I assume, so you're having those recovered so you can put them in storage, and then Recaro pole positions will go in, right? Big fan, aren't you?
Like big fat no. Just no. I've got to be so polite on that particular topic, because I know so many people like those chairs, and like I said before, I think they look cool. They just don't belong in a 911.
Wait, chairs? Chairs.
Yeah.
They're chairs,
what are they?
Well, they're seats.
Whatever. You sit down on them, you drive the car. They just don't belong in the 911. They just don't. They don't belong in the 911.
If you're calling them chairs, that just tells me you're not qualified to have this conversation. Charles and Ray Eames designed chairs. Recaro makes seats.
Yeah, all right. But sofa, couch, potato. But there have been quite a few people on Instagram, as I've now been posting more and more about the 996, that have been giving me their suggestions, which I love. People are like, hey, what about this decal? What about this? What about that? And so many of them are good ideas. There have been quite a few people that have suggested those chairs, their seats. And I just, like, do I give that comment a heart? Because I really don't want to, but I'll be a dick if I don't. So I've got to do something. Oh, wow. And I'll reply back saying, smiley face. So I don't have to say anything.
The non-committal response.
Exactly. Or, just do I just delete that comment and block that person from my Instagram?
Well, you just need a cut and paste, thank you for contacting Auto Amateur, appreciate your response. Just something like that sounds a little aloof. I think that's fun.
I don't know. But I tell you what I am excited about is not only will the seats come back looking brand new, factory fresh, which I think will make a huge difference in the interior. Because the dashboard itself actually is pretty good. I've just spent a couple of days reconditioning the carpet with a carpet cleaner and chemical guys scrub.
Has that worked well?
Yeah, it has actually. Yeah, I think the previous owners did a great job of keeping the mats in the car. Now, the old fabric mats that I took out had holes in and were just awful. I mean, just like completely skanky. But thankfully, all of the carpet around the driver's cockpit and the passenger side actually just looked brand new after I put the carpet cleaner on it. So I'm glad about that. And the dashboard's in pretty good condition. The steering wheel needs a bit of work. The short shifter boot needs to be replaced. The handbrake, I think, could do with some new leather, and those things aren't terribly expensive, so I'll get those done. But what I am excited about is that I've bought the special rails from Pelican Parts that give you an extra 3 to 6 inches of legroom and also bring the chairs down another 2 inches. So for a
that's
big
good.
guy like me,
that's great.
Makes all the difference in the 996.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great idea, huh?
That's going to be cool. And then I've ordered the GT3 console delete. So essentially
the center console.
Yeah, so the center console will still be there for the handbrake and for the gear shifter, but in front of the gear shifter, below the PCM, there's that big bulky cassette storage tray or whatever. That's going to be gone. So more knee room, more leg room. I'm quite excited to see what that's going to be like. Because driving 3,000 miles to the Rocky Mountains and back, oh man.
I was about to say, so this is the car that's going to take you to the Rockies and back, yeah?
I think so. Yeah, because I don't think I will have gotten to the point where I will have figured out what I want for my next driver, my next 911 driver, project cars aside. Yeah. And I want to at least make I at least want to enjoy the 996 for a few months before I ship it on.
What a great car to do that trip in, honestly. A lot of my buddies have 996s and we do our rallies, and I think they're such a great car to straddle that GT requirement when you're on that sort of a lengthy drive over multiple days, but still giving you a dare I say it, analog experience behind the wheel. I think you're going to love it on that trip.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. The only thing that I worry about, which hopefully the seats are going to take care of, is just the comfort factor for that long. It was actually the 997 was a lot more comfortable than my 996, and even that to the tail of the Dragon and back, which is half the distance of what we're doing this time. That was a little bit challenging. Where my 991 was, just like driving a Buick in many ways. It was just like a sofa on wheels.
They're comfortable for the touring, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. So what about you? 964?
964 there's often 964s tend to have a bit of an issue with warning lights in the dash around the PDAS and the ABS. So at the moment, I've got an ABS warning light every time I start the car. So that is going in actually today to my good friends at 9 Auto for a look. So it may be that the ABS booster pump is gone. It may just be a simple electrical issue. And apparently the booster pump, they don't actually manufacture anymore. But the way you can get around that is by basically reconditioning one with parts from a Mercedes pump. Anyway, we'll see how that goes. Yeah, but it's funny. You don't really notice it when you're driving the car, but I did a drive with a friend a week ago, I think, and driving. There's a place called Reefton Spur near us, which is literally one of the most epic roads you will ever drive, and coming in fast to some of those corners, jumping on the brakes whilst seeing two red lights lit up on my dash. It was just enough just to be sitting in the back of my mind and give me pause. So I've got to get that sorted. The other thing I'm still struggling with a little bit is the tune after my Nine Meister Motec upgrade. That was new injectors, new intake, and a Motec ECU. But it's just got this sort of shunting, bunny hopping kind of problem at the moment at low revs, and we just haven't managed to tune it out. So we'll look at it from a mechanical perspective this week, but then it goes back to the dyno and the tuning shop to see if they can't iron it out, because it's sort of just hindering my enjoyment of the car a little bit at the moment, because it's you don't notice it when you're in the twisties and having a good time in the car, but just cruising around, that's when you do notice it. And I don't just drive the car on my Sunday morning blasts in the hills. I'll drive it with my wife. I'll do the occasional daily drive to work. and it's just it just feels a little bit highly strung, and that's something that, you know, my understanding is that with Motec you should be able to absolutely dial out. So yeah, I'm really hopeful that I can, and it was interesting when I went through the process of working out what mods I was going to do when I did that change. Sharkworks offers a similar kit to the Ninemeister kit, and I reached out to Sharkworks about it, and they came back to me and said they don't sell them overseas by virtue of the fact that they can't tune them themselves there on the spot, and it means that ultimately they're not in control of the outcome, so to speak. And I think I'm experiencing a little bit of that with the Ninemeister kit, where, you know, I'm sure the team at Ninemeister who have done, you know, however many of these 964 kits, I'm sure they've got baseline tunes that they can then tweak for the individual requirements of a car. But yeah, we're sort of playing catch up a little bit here. And of course, every car is different, so they can't just send a baseline tune that solves everything. So anyway, we'll get there on that, and then later in the year, I really want to do the interior. I think I've been saying for a while, and I've got some turbo seats sitting there, which I sourced from the UK. They're currently navy blue, so they'll need to be recovered. But I changed my mind on what kind of color scheme to go with on almost a daily basis. Yeah, I do. I think about going with a sort of contrasting scheme with dark carpets and then the tan seats. And then I think about going everything tan as it kind of currently is. Dashboard's great. That's all black and that's in great shape, so I don't need to do anything with that. I don't need to touch the headliner, but the carpets are pretty well trashed, so carpets will be replaced, and I figure that's the opportunity to look at, you know, if I'm to change colour, this is the moment to do it. So we'll see, but once that's done, I kind of feel like that for now at least that's the major stuff of the car sorted. Yeah, you know, the engine bay looks great, the exterior looks great. It probably needs a little bit of love here and there, but for the most part, it looks great. I've got it, the suspension set up and everything's dialed. So yeah, once I get the interior right, it's kind of there. And I don't have that sense of, you know, this kind of goes to what you were talking about before, the journey. And I don't think I'm going to reach a point where I've finished the car and therefore I need to turn my attention to something else. Partly because I drive it so much that there's always something rearing its ugly head that I need to address and deal with. So there is always something to solve. But if I can get to the end of this year with the interior done, you know, I think the car is going to be in this beautiful state that I've always wanted to get it to, where it's my interpretation of the perfect 964.
You know, I think picking colours is maybe the hardest part about working on a car or buying a new car. Yeah. Because you got to live with it, and you can't, like I'm a very visual person, and I would love to be able to see in person the colour combo, so I could say yes or no to something, you know, instead of just seeing a computer visualization of it, or, you know, computer rendering or whatever, and my limited imagination in my head. Doesn't allow me to get that level of comfort. But, you know, I think to me on paper, that the kind of green that you have with a full tan interior is like the dream combo. Yeah. You know, in many ways, like if I was to have a black car, actually, I like the idea of black on black with a few accents here on there. But, you know, committing to a color like tan when there are so many different variants. Yeah, that's tough.
Well, and so, for example, you know, the existing tan color, which is called cashmere beige, is a very light tan, and I don't love it. I think, as you say, green over tan is the perfect combo. But I want a richer kind of a tan. And then I sort of start thinking about, well, do I go even darker and do like a ascot, which is the color that they used in the Carrera GTs. Like that's sort of almost more brown. But then I show pictures of that to my wife, and she's like, "That's orange." And I'm like, "Well, it's not. That's just how it looks in the light in this particular Instagram image." So, and then the other thing becomes then that if I want to use, if I want to stay with actual Porsche carpet, it has to be a color that they've run. So.
That's right.
Yeah, it's like you say, and it's funny how you agonize over this stuff, as though it's going to change your life. And ultimately, the interior of my car is filthy. It's got ripped leather. It looks appalling. So anything I do is going to be a massive upgrade from where I'm at now. And yet I'm still agonizing over it. But then, you know what? I agonize over the... I'll get on the configurator and build myself a GT3 Touring and agonize over the color of that, even though I have no intention of buying one. So
I know, me too. I do that all the time. And actually, the configurator drives me nuts because I don't think I've ever gotten to a very sort of satisfactory outcome with the color choices. Either because the visualization isn't good enough or because I just feel like the colors are too limited. Especially at the moment, it's loads of grays and blacks and chalks and there's adventure in green and your reds and yellows. I mean, it's just so dull.
It is, and every time I go to paint to sample thinking, oh, maybe they've got some options in there now and I can see a Gulf blue or... No.
So with my 996, it's easy to it's easy just to replace the black leather because I've got a full black interior. But I have been thinking about sort of similar to what I did with the 991, introducing some accents. So I've got blue, navy blue, well not quite navy, but darker blue seat belts coming this coming week, which will work with the exterior blue. But, I thought, should I do deviated blue stitching in the black leather? Not too sure about that. What about a blue notch on the steering wheel? What about maybe blue and black houndstooth deviated centers for the seats? That's a big gamble.
Yeah.
I don't know. You should see the way I dress. I mean,
yes.
I'm always wearing the same black shirt and black pants. I was about
to say, aren't you sponsored by Carhartt? You're usually wearing that
exactly.
that black tee.
I have 12 black t-shirts and I have 12 grey shorts. I pretty much wear the same outfit all the time.
Yeah, it's true. My buddy Dan, I quite like Carhartt, but Carhartt here is a little bit different from, it's such a workwear staple in the US, obviously, but here it's like more of a fashion brand. And,
is it?
Yeah, and we pay big bucks for Carhartt over here. And my buddy Dan is kind of known for wearing it all the time. And I've got a little bit of Carhartt in my wardrobe, and it's always... I'll only wear it if I know Dan's not there because I don't want us to have a matching sweater or matching t-shirt.
It was similar in the UK actually. When I was growing up there, Carhartt was a relatively cool kind of indie sort of label. Not too far away from Diesel at the time and those kind of brands. Over here it's like every worker that can spend $5 on a t-shirt has a Carhartt t-shirt.
So just going back, I think you can go with the blue accents and everything. It's everything in moderation, right? Like if you've got the blue belts, maybe a blue notch, but then you just did a standard black and white houndstooth, just so that it's. I think houndstooth centers always work in a 911. Always, and they always add a little bit of something special. I don't think you can go wrong. But I'd probably keep it simple.
That's what I'm leaning towards. And I'm going to wait until the seatbelts arrive and then take the seatbelts down to the upholsterers because he had a couple of blue seat fabrics, and one of them was a blue and black houndstooth, but I don't think the blue was close enough to match. And just even thinking about that now, it's like, well, it's not blue; it's one of 20 shades of blue that I've got to pick and find the material for.
So tell me about this. Tell me about this Rocky Mountain trip. It's going to be a big one, huh?
It is, and I'm giving the trip an extra couple of days this time, so we can maybe not completely knacker ourselves out, but even then, I think it's going to be full on. We're doing about 6 days, and we're starting. The first rally point is in Billings, Wyoming, which is pretty smack bang in the middle of the country, a little bit north, kind of. Yep. Top of the Rockies-ish. We're going from Billings, Montana. We're driving down about 8 hours to Denver in Colorado. While we're in Denver, we're going to do a cars and coffee meet that we're organizing. We're going to do a trip for a couple of hours further south to Pikes Peak, which is a famous...
I know Pikes Peak.
Yeah, lookout point. It can get quite congested, so I've got some recommendations from some local Porsche Club of America members that know a couple of twisty turny routes in that area that get you the views but don't get you stuck in the tourist trap.
Yeah.
So that'll be one afternoon. We've got we're going west over to Grand Junction, Colorado. So we're driving west across, like up and over the Rockies, and then we're going to start heading north to Salt Lake City. And in Salt Lake, we'll be there for 2 days. I think we're going to do like a photo shoot, or at least a cars and coffee out on the salt flats, which look
Amazing.
like something from Star Trek. I mean, absolutely stunning and beautiful. We'll do a cars and coffee in Salt Lake itself, and then we're going to finish off the trip with 2 days in the heart of Yellowstone National Park. And I don't think at that point we'll be doing a lot of driving. I think we'll actually just try and enjoy the last couple of days in that national park before we then drive our own separate ways. Because I mean, even like leaving Yellowstone to get back to Minnesota is like a day and a half's drive probably.
Right.
People coming from Portland, California, Connecticut, it's a day and a half for them as well, if not 2 days going east. So the folks that are coming along are either planning to come for like a full week, or they're just going to show up in Denver, or just show up in Salt Lake, or just show up somewhere
do a portion of it.
Yeah, it's so exciting though. I mean, having done 2 of these last year with Jay at the Tail of the Dragon and the Smokies, they were so enjoyable and relatively easy to organize. And we didn't have hundreds of people. We had like a dozen, maybe 20 people at one of them. It just felt like a really good number, and it was just great hanging out with other enthusiasts, meeting some folks for the second or third time, meeting other folks for the first time. You hope no one's going to turn up and be an axe murderer or anything like that. So far, so good. Yeah,
you're going to be fine. I think you're more likely to get sort of, garden variety, firearm homicides and that sort of stuff. I think the axe murdering thing is probably just a little less realistic, right? How can somebody get involved if I'm stateside and I want to join you guys? How do I get involved?
Well, if you go to autoamateur.com, there's a 2022 spring tour page, and we've got the itinerary. We've got all of the dates and the times of every event, every car meet, every drive, and I'm just about to start publishing the details of the hotels, the sort of selection of hotels in each place that a number of us are checking out.
Yep.
Or just following Instagram or our YouTube channels. Jay Reed and I will be putting stuff out there. But yeah, autoamateur.com. And, we got some frequently asked questions up there as well. And the one that I get asked the most is, am I allowed to come along? Can I crash this? And the answer is yes. I mean, anyone can come. As long as you're driving a Porsche and... you can drive there on your own dime, pay for your own gas money. I mean, just come along. There's no registration, no fees. It's just a bunch of like-minded Porsche nuts getting together and talking cars and driving.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
Sounds amazing. Do you have a sense yet of numbers?
Yeah, we've got there'll be about 4 or 5 of us leaving Minnesota together. We're going to pick up another 2 or 3 in Billings. There's then another maybe half dozen at the moment that are interested in joining either just in Denver and only Denver, or coming along from Denver to the rest of the way. And then we've got a couple in Salt Lake City as well, maybe half a dozen in Salt Lake City. So, we might have a nice dozen that are there consistently throughout, and then, double that at each of the car meets. I think that's nice. I think that's going to be really cool. But what's really nice to see actually is that after the original Tail of the Dragon trip I did with my local Minnesota friends 2 years ago, or is that 3 years ago now? Yeah, 3 years ago. We got some interest after that, and then Jay and I did the first one last year, and we got a lot more interest after that, and then it sort of snowballed a little bit from there to there. Now, we're still talking about a couple of dozen people, but the more we do them, the more people are reaching out and wanting to get involved. It's really cool. It's just such a fun time.
And what car is Jay going to be driving?
That is the question. That's the question. Because I imagine he's going to bring his 996 because he's still probably going to be working on his Boxster. I don't know if he's got enough faith in the Boxster to work, to run that on that such bigger distance. Plus, also, I think he wants a little bit. He wants to bring the power along. There's the big difference between that Boxster and his 996. At the same time, though, considering he's going to be driving for 2 days to get to Minnesota flat out before we even start the trip, I'm half suspecting that he's going to fly, turn up in Minnesota, and we're going to have to find him a Porsche from somewhere, or he'll be riding shotgun, and he and I will split up the driving in the 996.
Yeah, right.
I don't know, but I guess it's 996.
It's
going to be interesting to see.
And the mix of cars, other than that, is it sort of similar to what we've seen at Tail of the Dragon?
I think so. We seem to be attracting the water-cooled crowd. We've had one or two air-cooled cars, but it's been primarily the water-cooled. A lot of people with the 991s and the 718s. Quite a few 996 and 997 owners. But I think we've only had like 2 air-cools. And maybe that's just because the people that follow my channel drive the cars that I drive. And
that's probably true, right? Do you know what though? All of those cars that you've just reeled off then are so good for that kind of a trip. You got to cover some serious miles across some highways. They'll sit there and do that all day, and then you hit the twisties and then just let it rip. They're fantastic.
I'm super excited. Now, are you going to be doing the Alpine Ridge Rally again?
Alpine Range Rally.
Alpine Range Rally. I'm sorry.
Come on, mate. You just check Wikipedia. That's all you got to do. Yes, no, we are. We're in what will probably turn out to be a feeble attempt to catch good weather. We're going at the start of March this year. I honestly, every time we do it twice a year. It doesn't seem to matter what time we pick. We always get some pretty bad weather. And our last rally in November was hands down the worst weather we have ever had. Like literally day one, I did not turn my wipers off for the entire day. And I'm talking about 7 hours of driving, right? And it was just, wow. I mean, it was still brilliant. And it's funny how when you have 3 days of driving in the wet, how by the end of it, you have so much understanding and faith in your tyres and the amount of mechanical grip you've got that, I'm sure we were passing cars coming in the other direction and they would have thought we were just insane. But, by the end of day 3, you're so in tune with your car. It's interesting though, trying to film those events, as you can attest, I'm sure, so much of what you do is, for me, every time we stop, I get in my car before everyone's ready to go, drive ahead, try and find a spot to pull over and film. And then everyone will drive past, and then I spend 15 minutes driving on my own trying to catch up. And it's great fun. And, on this one, there was particularly day one, it just got to this point where I was like, oh man, I just don't want to get out of the car anymore. It's just too wet. It's too miserable. and we pulled into this little town where we always stop and take photos. And at this point, it was just, the rain had just really settled in. And I quickly jumped out of my car and thought, I'm just going to go stand on this cool bridge. Everyone can drive past me and I'll just get that shot. But I didn't take my radio with me. And so I was standing on the bridge for 10 minutes thinking, okay, let's go, guys. Because everyone was just sat in their cars. And so finally everyone drove past. I got the shot. It made, I don't know, it did make the final cut. Not because I thought it was the best shot, but because I thought, damn it, I suffered for that shot. I'm gonna put it in the video. So yeah.
All 3 seconds of it.
Yeah, 100%. So I did that. And then I think for the next one, what I'm looking forward to doing is I've just bought a drone. I've never been a drone shooter before. And so I'm looking forward to getting my head around that. I've been really put off shooting with drones. I did a day of drone training like 5 years ago with this guy who is a former South African military, like Air Force pilot. And so he spent the day teaching us. Look, we had 5 of us in a classroom, and it was literally, if you made a gag, he'd turn around and shoot daggers at you. It was full on. And, oh, dude, the amount of safety procedures and stuff this guy had us doing for a little Mavic drone, I was like, I never want to fly one of these things. I'm just going to crash it into a building. I'm going to end up on the news. So I felt really, really anxious about flying a drone. Yeah. I finally got myself a Mavic Air 2S, and it sat in my garage for like 2 months. I was too scared to even take it out. And anyway, finally on a drive a few weeks ago, I thought, okay, I'm going to take the drone. And what was great was I was able to put it in the air. I only got one shot with it. It was my first time. That was all fine.
I saw it.
Well, because I was able to set up a tripod, just have my standard camera just shooting down the road, and then have the drone up, and I got 2 shots in one. It was mega. I was like, oh, this is the best thing ever. So, but I need to spend some time with it because I've literally put it in the air twice. So I really don't know what I'm doing yet, but I'm looking forward to bringing that to those videos and stepping it up a little bit.
Well, I've gone through 3 of them now, and they were all silly, needless mistakes that took the drones down. Yeah, and I've just tried to go from shooting James Cameron, kind of Avatar-like aerial sequences to just, if you get it up there and you move slowly around an environment, 100%. You're going to get 4 or 5 beautiful seconds of shot that will just change up the feeling of your video. And the other day when I saw your video and there was that shot from up above, all of a sudden the penny dropped and I was like, oh, drone! He got a drone! It was gorgeous. Those green trees, the wet, the twisty road. That was such a great shot.
Yeah, no, thanks. And that's the thing. I think it's exactly what you say, right? Like, keep it simple, stupid. Just do really basic shots. Because I try and structure scenes a little bit if I can, where I like to be really wide and establish where we are and then gradually punch into the tighter stuff. And a drone just gives you the scope to do that. I don't think I'm ever going to spend enough time with it to be able to do dramatic aerial shots. But if you can use it for, just that gorgeous top-down overhead shot or that beautiful tracking towards cars coming towards your shot, just those sorts of things that just add some real production values. I'm pumped about that. And I've actually I'm filming a review video with my buddies 997 in a couple of weeks. And I'm looking forward to using it on that because, when I shoot those videos, I go out specifically to create the content rather than just doing it on a drive. Yeah. So I'll actually be able to spend some time setting it up properly and see what that baby can do.
Well, Andy, I think that's about it for our first episode of Curb and Canyon.
I reckon we're coming close to an hour.
I think we're doing well. Now, would you like the honor of taking us out of this first episode?
We hadn't scripted that. Because this has all been so tightly scripted so far. And
this is going to be so much fun. So much fun winding up my co-host See, like, because you said you could now be like a little bit more honest. I can now be a little bit more mean. Because when you're a guest, I've got to be super polite. Yes. When you're my partner in crime, dude, the gloves are off.
Right on, and right out of the gate, this is some quality. I'm sure the 3 audience members who have stuck around to this point are impressed.
Well, so everybody listening, thank you very much for tuning in. The Curb and Canyon is going to be coming out weekly. You can check out curbandcanyon.com for updates from Andy and I. Curb and Canyon will be available from any of the major podcast platforms: Google, Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, etc. You want to check out Andy's content, check out The Last Rasp, the YouTube channel and Instagram of the same name. And I'm James from Auto Amateur. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
See you on the next one, guys.